everybody. Happy Friday. That's the most influencer-y thing to say ever, I know. So cringy. So I'm gonna wait a couple minutes while everybody gets on. And instead of telling me where you're watching from, tell me what your go-to coffee order is, because I just made myself a reishi coffee and it's very good. Hey girl, hey. I'm so excited. I have lots of good questions to answer today. So again, if you're joining me right now, tell me what your go-to coffee order is. Because that's more fun than telling me where you're from, since that's what I always ask. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a brief, matcha, yes, love it. I'm gonna do a brief intro to myself for anybody who's new around here. So one of the biggest questions I get lately is, what does Rebelle Nutrition have to do with what I do now? So just for anybody who's new around here, I started my business around 4 years ago as a nutritionist. I went to the Nutritional Therapy Association and I started my business seeing one-on-one nutrition clients. And at the time, I was also working a serving job full-time. And so I was trying to juggle one-on-one clients and my serving job, and I just was completely burnt out. And I realized that there's not enough hours in the day for me to see one-on-one clients if I want to make the type of money that I want to make. So I started trying to figure out a way that I could make money online, make money passively, doing what I loved. And I learned about online courses. So I started my first online nutrition course, and that went really well, made money with that, started making money passively with that, and I was like, I'm obsessed with this. I need to tell more people. So that's kind of when I started teaching more of the online business, online course type of stuff. I sort of transitioned from nutrition to online courses. So that's how I got to where I am now. And obviously I talk all about online business and online courses now. So thanks for everybody who is joining. Put any questions in the chat or in the comment box and I will get to them at the end. I will try not to get distracted by your comments while I'm talking through the questions that you guys already sent in. That tends to happen, but I will try not to. I will try and stay focused, okay? So the first question that I got that was really good was, is hitting 6 figures a year possible if you only have a 5,000 followers on Instagram? So I thought this was a really good question, and the answer, you guys, is absolutely yes. So if you only have 5,000 followers on Instagram, that's still a really good place to start. Honestly, it's bigger than I had when I launched my first course, so it's a really good place to start. And if you break down the numbers with an online course, let's say your online course is $500, you only need 200 sales in order to hit $100,000. So if your course, again, is $500 and you have 200 students enroll, you're gonna make $100,000. So that's 6 figures. So again, more importantly than your number of followers is how engaged they are and how specific they are to the thing that you are teaching. So if you have grown a really niche following, let's say your online course topic is how to use Canva. If you are creating tons of Canva content and those 5,000 people all really want to know about Canva, then your course is going to sell. And especially if you're doing email marketing, you're likely going to hit those numbers. Maybe not on your first launch, but definitely within a year. So again, don't try and get too hung up on your number of followers, and think more about the quality of your content, how engaged those people are, and how you're launching your course. Again, definitely doable with an online course, but if you're thinking about seeing one-on-one clients, that's gonna be definitely more of a challenge just in terms of your own energy. So that's why I'm so passionate about online courses too, is because I am not somebody who wants to be working 8, 10, 12 hours a day. I'm good with a couple hours here and there, and then I also want to just enjoy the rest of my life. And I know a lot of other people are like that too. So hopefully it reconnects. Okay. There we go. Let me know in the chat right now if you are somebody who has really struggled with finding your niche. If you're somebody who has done all of the niche trainings and all of the I help blank do blank niche statement type of info, if that is not helpful for you, tell me in the comments right now, because I'm gonna give you some different advice. Not that I don't think that's helpful, but if you've done all that and you still don't know what your niche is, I want you to think about your niche this way. So think about who you were a couple of years ago before you know what you know now. So, and the type of information and the type of content that you needed back then. So I'll give you an example because sometimes it makes it a little bit easier. 5 years ago when I was a nutritionist, really good money. I wanted to travel the world, but I had no idea how to do it. I was like, how can I make money online? I have to see one-on-one clients in person, right? I need to rent out an office space. So how am I gonna live my dreams of traveling the world and making money at the same time? I had no idea. And then, so whenever I'm creating content now, I'm speaking specifically to that version of me a couple years ago, and the types of things that I needed to know, the types of questions that I had. I'm answering all of the questions that I used to have for myself, and I'm speaking to one specific person, that person being me. So if you can think about what that is in your own business, maybe you struggle with like a specific health issue a couple years ago, and you learned yourself the hard way how to overcome it or how to heal it. Now your niche, the person that you're speaking to, can literally be yourself a couple years ago. And this is so much easier, you guys, because you can really pull on like your own personal experiences rather than just trying to like pull a ideal client avatar out of thin air when you like maybe haven't had that many clients yet, or like you don't know who that person is. That can just be really difficult, honestly. Like, it's gonna be so much more effective if you're just speaking to yourself. So I hope that is helpful for you guys. If you have more questions, let me know in the chat, and again, I will get to them at the end. But I know that, just know that if you're somebody who struggles with your niche, you're not alone. And sometimes just plugging in, like, I help busy moms do X, Y, and Z, it just doesn't usually resonate with people unless you're able to pull on like a personal experience, whether that's you or somebody else that you know or that you've helped. Okay. The next question is, do you suggest having a website as a new NTP? So I don't think you need to spend like tons of time perfecting a website or anything like that, but you do need to have somewhere to send people. I am a big fan of growing an email list even right away, even before you have anything to sell. So even if your website is literally just a landing page where you are sending somebody to download your freebie, that is perfect. Like, don't worry about building out 10 pages on your website and making it perfect. I mean, unless you want to, or unless that's something you enjoy doing, but don't let it, you know, take a long time, because it's really not that important, honestly. Okay. Next question is, if I'm just starting my business, which of your courses should I start with? So as you guys probably know, I have a couple different online courses, but the one I would say, no matter where you're at in your business, if you want to make money online, which is usually why most people go into business for themselves, right? You can start with Online Course Academy. So that is where I'd recommend starting. And the reason being is it is foundational enough to where you don't have to have your website done, you don't have to have your niche yet, you don't have to have your email list built yet, you don't have to have a social media following yet. That course is going to teach you how to do all of those things, and you're going to get your quickest return on your investment. So in other words, you're going to make your money back and more the fastest of any other course. So Online Course Academy is definitely where I would start. And again, if you guys have questions, if you ever need the links to any of my courses or anything like that, you can always send me a DM. You can always click the link in my bio. I'm always happy to chat with you in the DMs. It's like my favorite thing to do because I love you guys. And also, we have a lot of people on today. I'm surprised because it's Friday, and so I didn't know if a lot of people would be joining, but I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay. Advice on skipping one-on-one clients and going straight into an online course. You guys, this is probably unpopular advice, but I would say go for it. If you don't want to see one-on-one clients, you don't have to. Honestly, there's so many other ways to figure out what kind of course would be profitable, market research you can do, how to test your ideas. You do not have, like, and I'm not saying that seeing one-on-one clients is bad. If you want to, that's great. But I know, like, I personally didn't ever really want to see one-on-one clients. I knew that wasn't going to be sustainable for me, but I thought it was the only way. I thought I had to do that. So I'm just telling you right now, if you know that you don't want to see one-on-one clients, just know that there's a lot of other ways that you can make money online, create a course, test its profitability, get it going and get it selling, even without seeing one-on-one clients first, okay? Let's see, how do you handle criticism? So this was really good. I love when people ask like more of a mindset type of question. So I don't really know any like background on this question, but my first thought is, if somebody is criticizing you, who are they? You know, take that into account first. Is it somebody who has your best interest in mind? Okay, even if they have your best interest in mind, let's say it's a family member, do they know anything about what you're trying to do? Because a lot of times they might not. Do they have the business that, and in criticism, I'm taking this question as like, they're criticizing what you want to do in your business. Okay, so with that in mind, ask yourself, like, do they have the type of business that I want to have? Do they have the type of lifestyle that I want to have? Do they have my best interest in mind? If they don't have all of those things, then most of the time, I think you can just be like, okay, that's nice. Thank you for sharing that criticism with me, but you don't have to take it. It's up to you to decide, you know, if you actually want to accept their advice or not, because most of the time, people that are giving you their opinion on what you're doing with your life, it's not really about you. It's usually more like about them. So that's just what I would say about that. I know that it's hard, especially, you know, if you're getting criticism from like people in real life, that maybe they think it's weird that you're starting a business online. I mean, it's not really weird anymore, I don't think. I think so many people do it now, but maybe they think it's weird that you're creating dancing videos on TikTok. It's like, you know what, well, this is the way that the world is going, so either join us or don't. Okay, next question is, sorry I keep touching the screen, it like keeps going black, so I need to figure out what's going on there. Next question is, how do you verify that your course is needed and will sell? So that's a really good question, and obviously something that I teach in depth inside my online course academy, but a quick way to do this, you guys, if you have, let's say you have a course idea in mind that you want to do, number one, you can think about if you know other people in your niche or online or whatever that are selling a course on a similar topic, that's actually a good thing. It's good to see that there are other people doing that because it tells you that there's a market for people who want that type of course. But another thing you can do too is you can go to like udemy.com, and then there's another course platform that sells like a bunch of courses. I can't remember what it's called, but Udemy is an example. And you can search for the type of course idea that you have and just see if there are courses under that topic on there that are selling. So it doesn't matter, because all of those courses on Udemy or a similar website, they're gonna be selling for really cheap. Don't pay attention to that. That's not what you should price your course as, okay? But just see if there is a course under that topic and if it's been selling. So if you can see that there's a course under the topic that you want to create and it's had like 100 students enrolled, that's a really good sign, because obviously people are interested and are willing to pay money for that topic. You can also think back again to like who you were a couple years ago, if that's your niche and that's the person that you're talking to, and really get real with yourself and think like, is this something that I would have spent money on? If you can think back, putting yourself back to, you know, in your shoes a couple years ago, whatever the topic is that you're teaching, and if you're your own ideal client, and think like, would I have actually spent money on this? And if your answer is no, that's really good feedback. So you have to be really honest with yourself. And if it's not something that you would have purchased, same goes for when you're downloading a freebie too, you guys, or you're creating a freebie. If it's not something that you would have given someone your email address or given someone your credit card number for, no one else is going to either. So thinking about it that way can be really helpful. Another way to make sure that your course will sell too is pre-selling. This is again a method that I teach inside OCA, but basically what that means is you're creating the idea of the course and maybe like the first lesson, and selling that first lesson without the rest of the course being done. So you're really clear with people when you sell it, like, okay, module 2 is going to be available on June 15th. Module 3 is going to be available this date in the future. And then that way you're selling the course. And once you have, you know, validated that people are actually going to buy it, let's say you get 30 students who pay you, then you're like, oh my God, now I really have the motivation to create the rest of my course because I have these students waiting on me, if that makes sense. So that's another way to do it. Okay, another question that I got that was really good, and I've been having a lot of like hairstylists, estheticians, and like beauty people kind of interested in my courses lately. So this is a really good question. She said, I'm a hairstylist and esthetician. What kind of course could I create? I'm exhausted from seeing one-on-one clients all day. I totally get it. I've been there before too. I think so many people in the service industry have been there as well. So the first thing that comes to mind is I always think about, what can you teach somebody else? So how-tos are really great. So what can you teach somebody else to do at home that would maybe save them money. So in terms of hairstyling and aesthetics, I don't know if that's what it's called, but like, can you teach somebody to cut hair at home? Can you teach somebody to do their own makeup at home, do a bridal updo at home themselves, or I mean, anything in regards to that, even styling techniques, DIY. I have a DIY haircut. I learned how to cut my husband's hair during quarantine, so I mean, that's a course that I really would have benefited from because he had some interesting haircuts at the beginning. Makeup, skincare. Also, and this is a really good and profitable way too, is like, let's say you have built up a really successful one-on-one client-based business with your hairstyling or whatever. You could then teach what you've learned as you've built your business to other hairstylists or other estheticians, teaching them how to build up their business. So it depends kind of what avenue you want to go. If you actually want to teach people how to like do their own hair, makeup, skincare, or if you want to teach other practitioners how to build up like the client base that you've had. So again, how-tos are really good for courses, DIY, anything that's going to save somebody money, time, anything like that. There has to be a reason that they're going to purchase your course. So it has to save them money, time, energy, resources in some way, okay? Or get that back to them. Okay, next question is how to do market research. Again, my advice on this is probably going to be a little bit backwards. So if you've seen most market research says like, you know, go out into people's Facebook groups and like see what people are asking, go stalk other people's comment sections, things like that. I'm not really into that. I personally think, let's see, I think the best way to do market research is to create your own content and see what people respond to. So people might be like, oh, that's gonna take longer. Honestly, it's not. And in the process, you're going to be building your audience rather than just spending your time like ping-ponging around from other people's audiences. You know what I mean? So I think that's, again, such a smarter way is create content, the types of content you like, and sometimes it's gonna take a little while to gain traction to figure out like what actually works. So maybe you have, you know, your first couple of reels that you make, they only get 10 views, but then you make one on a different topic that gets a couple hundred. That's really, really good feedback that you can use to think, oh, okay, people actually really like this content or this topic over everything else that I was doing before. So keep creating more like that. So yes, that's a really good way to do market research. Okay. Thank you guys for all of your questions. I will get to all of these at the end. They're so good. I was just trying to answer. I've just got a couple more that you guys asked me in the question box, and then I will go get to the rest of them. Okay, or actually maybe I'll do some right now since you guys are on live. I might as well. Okay, somebody just wrote me something in French, and I appreciate it. I don't know what it's saying, but I love French, and that's amazing. Do you know K-pop? Yes, I love K-pop. Okay, somebody said, let's see, Stephanie Marie said, I'm a social media manager for small business and a social media manager for another company. How can I create a class without stepping on my employer's toes? Well, so I'm assuming you're a social media manager for small business. So this is how I like to think about this. The information that you are, you know, using as a social media manager, likely it's the same. I mean, really, if you know how to use social media, that information isn't like trademarked information. You know what I mean? Like you can go do research on later.com or on my account or other people who are teaching that, and you're going to see a lot of the same types of recommendations. So if I understand correctly, you know, you're not necessarily, as long as you're not taking information that your employer has specifically created as like a trademarked, it's their own unique method that is not supposed to be shared, like obviously don't do that. But like if it's information that's out there online and you are aware of it and you're able to put that into a course format, that's a great idea. So unless I'm not totally understanding your question, let me know if you have any follow-up questions on that. How should I start as a coach with creating a course? So my first question would be, what type of coach are you? So if you can think about, so if you're a coach, think about the types of clients that you help and what outcome you help them achieve. So if you help them, let's say, maybe you're like a relationship coach and you help people create like a really amazing dating profile so they can meet the love of their life. maybe you do that in your like one-on-one client consultations, but you could turn that into a course. So the way that I like to think about that is think about the end result that you're helping people achieve, and then create a course that takes them step by step through to help them achieve that, if that makes sense. Okay. How do you pace yourself through OCA? OCA is totally self-paced, so you can go through it on your own time. I mean, I do think it's more beneficial to, go do a little bit at a time. So what I've done in each of the lessons at the end of the lesson is an action step. So the lessons themselves are not super long. They're probably 20 to 30 minutes. And then before you move on to the next lesson, I want you to take that action step. So that's the part that might vary in terms of how long it takes you, because if you're somebody who's more tech savvy, then it might take you less time. If you are somebody who already has it set up, or who is less tech savvy, then it might take you more time, if that makes sense. But totally self-paced, you get lifetime access, and then we're there for you inside of the Facebook group if you have questions. I'm about to graduate as a self-love coach who focuses on the menstrual cycle. I'd love to create a course one day. One-to-one sessions kill my energy. Totally understand. That would be an amazing online course idea. I've actually had quite a few OCA students who have done kind of similar topics on like women's health, so that's amazing. Okay, I'm glad that made sense. How do you figure out what you love to do most in life? Oh, well, that's a really good question. I mean, I don't know if this is related to like starting a business around it or just figuring out what you love, period. But if you're thinking about, whether it's related to business or not, I think just thinking about what you would do every single day, even if nobody would pay you for it. Like, what are the things that you would spend your time doing just because you genuinely love to do them, even if there was no outcome. So even if, you weren't gonna get a lot of followers from it, even if you weren't gonna make a lot of money from it, what would you still do? Or even if nobody knew about it, like what would you still do? Okay, let's go to the rest of the questions and then I will go back through at the end. Okay. What if you don't have a personal healing story as a part of your niche? Okay, that's a really good question too. No, I lost my part. Okay, well, so even if you don't have a personal story about why you do what you do in your niche, I'm sure there's still a reason that you are interested in it. So let's take the woman, for example, who just said she wants to eventually do a course on the menstrual cycle and women's health. There's got to be some reason you are interested in that, whether it's your own experience, whether it's the experience that your mother had, your sister had, your best friend had, your clients had. There's some sort of story or reason why you are pulled in that direction. And so I think even if it's not your own story, it's still important to explain how you got interested in that topic in the first place. And you can use that story in a lot of the content that you create. And it's just a great way to really connect with your audience, rather than, like I said before, rather than just like pulling some random person that you think needs your help, but you've never actually talked to them or met them, like pulling them out of thin air. It's just not the same energy. Okay. What is the best way to incorporate a course and one-on-one clients? So I think this person is saying that they do want to see one-on-one clients, but they also want to sell a course, which I think is great. Honestly, if you're somebody who loves seeing one-on-one clients, that's great. I think that's amazing, and there are people who are always going to want one-on-one help. However, I think it's really smart to, even if you're seeing one-on-one clients, to establish a passive income product like a course to be selling all the time. So that way, you can see one-on-one clients when you want to, but you're still making money all the time either way. So even if you take a couple weeks off from one-on-one clients, you're still making passive income. Or maybe your online course is like the main thing that you sell, but then as an upsell, so meaning, people that really want extra help from you, they spend, a couple extra $100 a month or a couple $1,000 extra a month to work with you one-on-one. It can kind of be like an upsell to work with you because your time is really valuable. And so I think that the combination of those two things, especially if you're somebody who really wants to see one-on-one clients, is just a way to make your business more sustainable and a lot more profitable in the long term. And yeah, I think it's great if you do want to see one-on-one clients. So hopefully that helped. Okay, somebody said, what platform is best to do a course on? taking a quick break from this video to tell you guys how I've been making 6 figures a month since the beginning of this year online. And I know that sounds crazy. I simply turned my passion for wellness into an online course that sells passively and helps hundreds of women every single day. In my free masterclass, I'll be sharing how you can turn your passion into a passive online course business and my step-by-step method for getting started with your own online course, even if you're like, WTF, would I even teach? To join the free masterclass, click the first link in the description box right below this video. Don't forget, it's free, and I'll see you there. Okay, back to the video. There's so many different options out there. I personally love Teachable. I think it's the easiest to use, the most user-friendly. It does everything that I want. I love the way that it looks, but if you're somebody who, I encourage you to shop around. If you've taken other people's courses, pay attention to what you like as a student. That's the lens that I always look through too, is I have taken a lot of different courses, and as a student, I think it's easiest to go through a Teachable course. I like the way that it's set up. I like that it, has you complete the lecture when you're done. It saves your spot, all of that stuff. Okay. Can there be several versions of your ideal client? I think there can be, especially as you grow your business, but when you're starting out, I would really focus on one person, especially when you're starting with your first course too. It's definitely beneficial and helpful to choose one person. If you're trying to talk to multiple people, not only are you going to confuse yourself, but you're going to confuse your audience with what it is that you're actually selling. So speak to one person, at least initially. Can I use Mailchimp instead of Convertkit? I am strapped for cash at the moment. So for those of you who don't know, Mailchimp and Convertkit are 2 email marketing platforms. I personally like Convertkit better. I started with using Mailchimp and I thought it was really difficult, honestly. So she's asking, do you have to use Convertkit? So you don't have to use Convertkit. Mailchimp, you totally can, but if it's a money issue, you don't want to pay for Convertkit, Convertkit actually has a free version now. So if it were me and I was starting over, I would just start with Convertkit, start with the free version, and then you can upgrade from there. Basically how it works is as you grow your email list, it will upgrade you. So if you get if you're starting and you only have 10 people on your email list, I think it's free, but then once you get to 1,000, then it upgrades to $20 a month or something like that. Okay, do you have multiple Instagram accounts? One for personal and one for business? No, I don't. I just have it all on this one, which makes everything so much easier. I highly recommend, people ask this question all the time, should you have separate ones? And it's obviously personal preference. If you want to keep things really separate from your personal life and your business, then that's fine. Or you want to post pictures of your kids on your personal one or whatever, that's fine. I just find it to be a lot easier to have everything in one, and my business and my personal life and personal brand are just kind of so intertwined that it makes sense for me to have them just be as one. It makes it a lot easier too. Less content to create as well. How much time per day does it take to develop an online course? So again, this is totally up to you. It's going to depend on so many different things, the length of your course, how in-depth the videos are, how much time you're spending, all of that. But in general, what I like to say is that it usually takes my students anywhere from 1 month up to 6 months to create and launch and have their online course selling. And up to 6 months, I would say it's if you are, let's say you are working another job, you have a busy family life, and you can only commit a couple hours a week or a month to it, then it potentially will obviously take longer. But if you're focusing hours a day and it's your main focus, I've seen some people get their course out and selling within a month. So just really depends on your schedule and how fast you work and all of that good stuff. Okay, last question on here, and then I will go back to answering your guys' questions in there and try not to get distracted. Okay. I want to create a course, but I'm afraid of wasting time on something that doesn't sell. So that's totally understandable, and honestly, I think everybody who creates a course has this fear when they're creating it, because it's scary. I mean, you don't want to be spending potentially months on something that doesn't sell. So I totally get that, and that's why there are a lot of different methods inside OCA that I have you guys go through to make sure that that doesn't happen, but just to briefly kind of touch on it right now, I think the most important thing is obviously the market research, like I mentioned earlier, making sure that there are other courses like it out there, that people are actually, like if you create a freebie, let's say, testing out your course topic with the freebie and seeing if people even give you their email address for it. Because if nobody is giving you their email address for like a free resource on a similar topic, then for sure they are not going to pay you for it. So just being really honest and realistic with yourself about that kind of thing. You can also pre-sell. So going back to what I said before, if you missed that part, I'm gonna save this to this recording. I'm gonna save it to my feed so you can go back and listen to what I talked about in terms of market research and how to make sure your course topic is going to sell, because that's not going to happen, okay, if you follow the things that I teach in OCA and what I mentioned earlier. And then another thing I'll say too is just having really realistic expectations on what to expect for your first course launch. So you guys know, like now at this point in my business, 4 years since I created my first online course, my courses are bringing in passively 6 figures a month, passively, okay? But I don't want anyone to think that that is what is normal or that's what you should expect on your very first launch, because even though that's possible and it could happen, it's quite unlikely, okay? So I think the better way to kind of look at it is like, okay, the first time I launched, I think I made $5,000, which at the time was amazing to me. I was very excited about, I thought that was a lot. And just know that like, you can start there, and even if you make $5,000, you can always be tweaking and improving, and eventually, you know, the possibilities of what you can make from your online course are truly unlimited. Like in a couple of years, I've gone from, you know, a $5,000 launch to $100,000 a month from courses. Okay, so, and that didn't happen overnight. Obviously, it's taken a lot of time and effort and strategy to do that, but just knowing that that's what's possible for you, I think is something that's really exciting. So just don't get discouraged if the very first time you launch, you know, you're not making 6 figures on your first launch. It's okay, that doesn't usually happen. It has happened. Corey, my student, I mentioned her on the last live I did, actually made like 150K on her very first launch, and that's amazing. And it shows you that it's possible, but it's just not typical. So I like to be completely transparent with people, okay? I'm gonna go back through the questions now. What's a good starting price for a course for a first time? It doesn't matter if it's your first time. I don't think that's really something you need to look at in terms of the course price, but in terms of pricing your course, you wanna think about the end result that you are getting people, and how much your ideal client, so the person that you're selling your course to, how much do they value that outcome? So to give you an example, my online course academy, the outcome is that you are going to learn how to create and sell your own online course, which, like I just mentioned, has the potential to be making you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, if not a month. So the return on that is huge. So that's why that course is higher priced than, say, a course that teaches you how to, I'm just pulling this out of thin air, like change, like, I don't know, take a photo. You know what I mean? Like one is a much higher return on your investment. You're going to learn how to make money from your own online course versus just learning how to take a photo. I mean, that's nice, but that's not gonna, you know, unless you turn it into a business, that's not really gonna help you monetize. So thinking again, what is the end result? What does my ideal client, what is the value that they put on that end result? And so if, like using a health example, for let's say you're teaching somebody with your online course how to heal or how to overcome like a specific health issue, you can kind of weigh the options of like, well, how much would they be potentially spending by going to the doctor on this topic? Or how much time and energy and money am I saving them from seeking out other professionals when they're just gonna get the answer that they need inside my course? So those are some ways to kind of think about how to price your course. Okay. Thanks, Levi. He said, super excited to launch my courses. Couldn't have done it without you and OCA. I am super excited for your courses too, and I can't wait to share the shit out of them. How many hours of video content should a course have? Again, I don't think that there is any guideline for this. It depends on what the thing you're teaching is. and how long it takes somebody to get there. So I've seen courses that are literally an hour long. I've seen courses that are 50 hours long. Like it totally depends. I personally value my time so much that when I'm purchasing a course, I would rather it be shorter, as long as it's guaranteeing that it gets me to my end result. Like I would rather have the lessons be shorter so that I can get through it faster. And that's kind of the mindset that I took in making my own courses. Like I am putting the absolute best content I can into these videos, but I'm making them as short as possible because I want you guys to get going. Like I want you to take action. I want you to get your own course created. I want you to start making money. I don't necessarily want you spending the next 6 months watching my course. You know what I mean? Okay, next question. Have you ever taken an online course yourself? Yes, I've taken many online courses for all different reasons. At this point, I love online courses that are more like kind of mindset related. And the reasons that I chose them, usually the reason why I choose to buy a course is because I really like the person who is selling it. And I really look up to them. There's somebody whose lifestyle like I really like, or I think they're a great teacher, or they've benefited me with their free content. So I immediately think, okay, if this is what they've shared with me for free, then their course is going to be mind-blowing. Okay, Deborah said, do you recommend selling your course before you actually create it? I talked about this a little bit. It's called pre-selling, and I definitely do, especially if you are new to your business. Like at this point, I've been doing and teaching on these topics for years now, so I feel like I know really well what people want. But when I was first starting, I definitely did sell my course before it was created because I wanted to make sure that people were actually going to buy it before I spent months creating it. Okay. Oh, this is a good question. I haven't launched a course yet, but do you think your first course should be inexpensive to attract people to you? Okay, this is really important, so listen up. Having your course be cheap is not what people will be attracted to. Making your course cheap is not going to bring people to you. It is going to be the content that you put out. And so for that reason, never make something cheap just because you think more people are going to get in the door. Instead, make the best shit you possibly can, okay, that you know that is going to benefit people, and then price it appropriately. And appropriately could be, I mean, depending on the topic, depending on the outcome that you're getting people, maybe it is a lower price course, or maybe it's a couple $1,000s because it's really fucking valuable. Okay, I don't know why I just like started cussing all of a sudden, but I just feel really passionate about people charging what they are worth and knowing the value of their time, because ultimately, like, I've seen so many people just hustling and working their asses off, but then they're charging like $29 for their courses. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Again, it depends on the topic that you are teaching, but you just have to be realistic and know that with a $29 course, you're going to need a lot of sales in order to make a full-time income from that. So keeping that in mind. And instead, like, most of the time, the topic that you are teaching, especially if you're a coach, if you are in the service industry, you're teaching somebody something that they really want to know, they are willing to pay money for that. Okay, I'm going back through the questions. Let me know if you guys have any other ones. Do you do art? I don't, not really. Okay, some of the questions I get on here, you guys, just so interesting. Oh man. Okay, and this is not a bra, this is a shirt. It's a bodysuit, so thank you. Oh, how do you switch from free education to paid education? That's a really good question as well. So free, I like to think about it like this. Like, your free pieces of content are really what attract people to you. So these can be things like your reels, your IGTVs, your IG lives, your Instagram content, your YouTube videos. Those are all free things that are attracting people to you on a specific topic. You're giving them like a bite-sized piece of information. And then the really important part is then you are giving them a next step, and the next step is usually what is paid, because once somebody has watched your free content, they've consumed it, and they like it, you always want to give them a next step, because if somebody likes your free content, you can be like, here's more, here's how you can work with me, here's how you can pay me, here's how you can get exclusive access to my program, to my coaching, to whatever else I do in an even more in-depth way than what my free content covered. So I know that wasn't like super in-depth, but that's usually how I do it. Okay. Okay, I think that was most of the questions. Just going back down to the bottom. I wish there was an easier way to like organize the questions that I was getting. Okay, I got another question on niching down. When I save this to my feed, go ahead and just watch from the beginning, because I talk a lot about niche at the beginning. Should I say I am a relationship? Oh, show your nails. I would love to. Do you like them? They're very on brand. I actually just had them redone because one of them fell off, but I'm glad that you guys like my nails too. Okay. Should I say I'm a relationship coach that focuses on women's body insecurities, or should I say I'm a body image coach that focuses on women in relationships that feel insecure in their body? So I don't think, you want to think about okay, so the person that you are trying to attract, you want to think about like the language that they are using, and that they are like the problem that they think that they have, not the problem that you think that they have, if that makes sense. So for example, like when they're talking to their girlfriends and they're talking about an issue that they're having, what are they saying, I feel insecure in my body? Or are they saying, I'm trying to think of what your other one was, relationship coach that focuses on women? Or yeah, like think about that kind of language, and that can be the most beneficial. I see this a lot with like health practitioners using language like with gut health. A lot of stuff around gut health, like I am a gut health practitioner. Okay, so the person that you are probably seeking to help, do they tell their friends, or are they typing into Google like, I am struggling with gut health? Or are they saying, I'm constipated? You know what I mean? So you want to like think about the language that your ideal client is actually using and typing into Google or whatever to find the answers to, and that can be a good way to kind of tweak your messaging. I hope that was helpful. I'm not sure if I fully understood. I think you're just kind of curious about how to like phrase if you should be a relationship coach or a body image coach. It depends. I mean, to me, those are two completely different things. Are you helping somebody with, their relationships with other people, with themselves, with their body image? So just all different questions to ask. I have a program, and the course I want to create is based on how to create a bigger impact using spiritual yoga. Does anyone have input on that? How would you ask your audience if that interests them? Well, so my question, just as somebody who, I hear that, and I'm like, I don't know what spiritual yoga is. Is that like normal yoga? So what the way that I would attack that is through education, like explaining again and again, you're gonna feel like a broken record, what spiritual yoga is, what the benefits are, who needs it, what the outcome is gonna be. And once you've explained it, then ask people, if they're interested in it or what questions they have, rather than just putting it out there like, do you want a course on spiritual yoga? Because again, like maybe to you as the practitioner, that totally makes sense and you know all about it, but to the student or the person who's potentially going to enroll, they're like, I don't know what that is. Or maybe they do. I might not be your ideal client, so. Okay. Is it better to start a course with launches or Evergreen? Totally depends. Again, this is kind of like the one-on-one client versus online course question of like where you should start. You want to think about like, are you somebody who enjoys like the thrill of live launching. So by live launching, you guys, what I mean is like you pick a date, let's say from June 1st to June 15th, the doors are gonna be open for your course. You're gonna do live webinars, you're gonna have promos going and bonuses and all of that, and then you're gonna have emails going, a good amount of money, get a bunch of enrollments during that 2-week time span, but then once the doors close, nobody can get in again until you launch again. So that's like considered live launching, and that's just like a basic overview of it. And again, that's something that I teach inside OCA. So is that more alluring to you? Like you put a bunch of work in and get a big push of sales and then kind of maybe take a break and don't see any sales for the next couple months until you launch again? Or are you somebody who would rather basically do all of that prep work that you would for a live launch, but make it evergreen so that it's selling your course all the time, so that you're making money every month, every week, every day? And again, with Evergreen, you probably won't see the same, spike of sales every single day, but it's more consistently growing throughout the month. So like how I like to think about it is like with a live launch, you're seeing, a spike of sales like this every time you launch. Whereas with Evergreen, you are kind of going like this steadily over time. You're increasing and you're making money every day rather than once every couple months whenever you decide to launch. So that was kind of a brief overview, but basically I explained that to just ask you what feels better for you. I know when I first started my business, I actually really loved the thrill of live launching. I loved doing live webinars. I loved it was almost like a sport, like a competition. Like I'm preparing for the big game and then I have my big match and enroll a bunch of students and then I take a break for the next couple months and go travel or whatever. And then after a couple years of doing that, I was like, I'm exhausted from, the ups and downs, and I want to create steady income for myself and just be able to have it flowing all the time. So I have this like kind of more stable environment and I don't have to feel like, oh my God, I need to launch this month or I need to plan for my next launch. It's just kind of like sales coming in all the time and I just do general upkeep. That is what feels better for me at this point, but that's something that's probably gonna depend with whoever, just your personality. But also you can do a combination too. So you can have let's say you have one of your courses selling on Evergreen, and then every couple of months you live launch a different course. So you're kind of having like that stability of income coming in all the time and then live launching every couple of months. That's an option too. Again, the best thing about online courses, you guys, is that you can really do whatever you want. So when you're thinking about like, how often do I need to launch, or how large does my course need to be, or how much do I need to sell it for, or can I make there be a live component, or do I have to support my students? Honestly, there's no wrong or right answer. You can do whatever you want, whatever feels good to you. If you want to support people live, if you want to create a Facebook group that goes along with it, if you want to sell it for $1,500, you can do really whatever you want. Okay, cool. Well, you guys, that was all of the questions that I had. So before I wrap up, I want to say thank you for being here. If you have questions about Online Course Academy, if you want to join, there is a link in my bio. You can also feel free to send me a DM and ask me any questions you have about my Online Course Academy, Passive Income Academy, any of my different courses. I am so happy to chat with you guys in the DMs and make sure that I suggest, the course that's gonna be right for you, and starting your business and making sure you are super profitable and just living your best life, okay? So thank you so much, you guys, for being here. If you liked this live, make sure to tell me in the comments. Okay, I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.